showing up there now, I hope. And I think that was my mistake. I just forgot to click the little button, but let me make sure you can get there now. That was uh 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 charge that to me, y'all, trying to get some kind of something going on today, because I didn't want to not do a show at all, right? I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something, but I knew that I just did not want to. I couldn't do another Ukraine analysis thing, because honestly, I'm just kind of worn out talking about it right now. So I've got to kind of gather myself, and get back to you know get back to the struggle tomorrow. But for tonight, woo, I really just wanted to just relax, have a good time. Yes, Julie, Brewski's mistake. It was his mistake, because he was pressing me for these pizza crusts. And so, yeah, absolutely his mistake. So I really just wanted to kind of chill out and just have a good time tonight. So I didn't want to do a whole bunch of preparation for the show and all that kind of stuff. So I said, what the hell? Let's just do an Ask Me Anything. And I almost regret it now that I said I was going to do it, but I said I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it. And I do already have some questions. I see that it's up on the YouTube channel now. I apologize for that. I just didn't realize that I didn't click that button to get it there. So, whew, yeah. So anyway, before I get into this, let me get to, the meat and potatoes of why Black Power Media is becoming the force of nature, if you want to call it that, the force of radicalism that it is. If you're not a subscriber to Black Power Media, you need to subscribe now, and you need to click the notification bell so you can get notifications for whenever anybody on this platform goes live, when, certain people remember to click the button so that we do go live on the channel. You can also support Black Power Media on Patreon, patreon.com/Black Power Media. You can follow Black Power Media on Twitter, Black Power MEDI, the number 1. And yeah, you can subscribe. Please do share this video, bring folks in, because we're just going to have a good time. And you can ask me anything. And here's the disclaimer. Here's the disclaimer. Just because you ask, it doesn't mean I am going to answer every single question. There are some questions, if I think they're a little bit way too personal, I may decline to answer, because you should know everything about a person. But I figured we just have a good time tonight and just shoot the shit. And shoot the shit. I hope you came here from Last Dope Intellectual, because they just dope. So yeah, I just wanted to rewind, de-stress. I have my large glass of wine here. So yeah, so let's get to it. Let me give Brewski his pizza crust. Here you go, boy. Pizza crust for you. It's not a trick. Yeah, yes, it's really pizza crust. Oh, you got an attitude now? You're not gonna take the crust? You don't trust it? Okay, so he been legit mad at me for like 15 minutes because I've had these 2 pieces of pizza crust sitting up on this table. So yeah. So all right. So I have a few questions that people ask before the show here on Facebook, and I'm going to answer those questions right now. Jessica Mills, let me see, where's Jessica's question? No, she didn't put a question in here. I'm sorry. Okay, so Stry Kratopkin asked, how did I get involved with activism? Oh, Lord. Sort of kind of my parents, my family would never tell you that they're political, but they were way more political than they would let on. Here you go, bud. In that my grandmother, okay, you don't want that one right now. In that my grandmother basically stood up to the racist white people in our hometown of Jarrett, Virginia, when her daughter, my mom, wanted to integrate her high school. And my mom didn't integrate her high school, she said, because, out of some, she wasn't like a radical or anything like that. She just said that she didn't want her children to go through the kinds of things that she and her family had to go through. And I wasn't even a thought then. My mom and my dad were dating at the time. I don't know if they were married at the time. I don't think they were, but they were together at the time that my mom went to high school. So she was just like, just this needs to be done because we shouldn't have to live like this. And my grandmother tells me the story of she and her family and a bunch of our cousins' families getting together and going to the school board meeting where the white people were like, you send your nigger children to these school, you're going to get another thing coming. And one of my cousins, and I told you my family hunts, some of them still hunt. And everybody I knew had a shotgun, stood up in the school board meeting and said, you bring your white ass on my property if you want to. Come on and see what happened to you. And my grandmother said that she was so afraid for her cousin, but she wouldn't back down. So she put her daughter on that school bus with those white kids every day and just prayed that she would come back. And my dad tells me the story of one time that my mom had asthma. And she had an asthma attack at school, and they wouldn't call the doctor. They wouldn't call the ambulance, nothing. And they were going to let her die. But someone who works at the school, who was a family member or someone who knew my folks, called my dad. And my dad had jumped in the car, and he was working as a brick mason with his father at the time, jumped in the car, drove up there and got my mom and took her to the hospital. That was the only reason she lived. So that's kind of like the spirit of the people in my family, right? Like they will never tell you that they're radical, but I know that my family don't take no shit. So I come from those kind of folks, right? And then the political part, the politicization part, I think that really kind of happened sort of slowly over time because I've always liked politics, always liked watching C-SPAN. There you go, bud. There's the other one. I watched C-SPAN in high school as a hobby, not like as an assignment. I loved watching C-SPAN. And I became interested in politics and I love to read. So I've always been sort of politically minded, but I don't think I became deeply involved in politics until I became a punk here in DC, interestingly enough, and got involved in some of my first protests through being a punk in DC. So that's how I got involved in political activism. That's the short story, because I see y'all with the questions in the chat and I don't want to miss them. So that's the short part of the story. Now, if you want to hear the longer part of that story, you can go to the This Is Revolution podcast, where I talk a little bit more about that. And like the very first show I did on By Any Means Necessary, in December 2019. And I'll see if I can find that for you. And download it and cut it up so you can hear it. So that's kind of how I got radicalized, I suppose, if you would say. Wendy Buxell Sehor on Facebook, I hope Sejor, I think. How did you get your baby Brewski? Brewski was not the dog I wanted. That's the truth. That's just true. Abdus and I got married in 2013. I had a dog previously China, who was a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, some kind of mix. The dog had these big old ears. She was the sweetest little thing. And I had her for like, I know, right? The way he is leaving the room now. Salifu, this mug is leaving the room now because he's like, well, fuck you. You didn't want me then. I don't want to be in here with you. So yeah, he real salty like that. But so before I met Abdus, my dog, China, I'd had her for 10 years. And I was heartbroken when she died. So I swore I didn't want another dog, but I also swore I was never going to get married either, right? Like I was not going to find that dude. And then I met Abdus and we got married. And like a couple of months after we got married, he's like, I want a dog. And I'm like, dude, I do not want another dog. I don't think I can deal with the emotional. I don't want another dog. And he really wanted a dog. So we went down to the animal shelter at New York Avenue here in DC. And we were looking for dogs. And I saw this adorable gray pit bull, sweet little girl named Ellie. She was sitting very politely in her cage, just, please pick me. Hello, my name is Ellie. I'm a good dog and I'm good with children and I am very calm and I'm a good girl. Please pick me. My name is Ellie. Thank you. And I really wanted Ellie, but in the pen next to Ellie was this psycho dog, like running around, literally like running around in circles because somebody was coming to the pen. And Abdus was like, that's the dog I want. And I'm like, the fuck you want that psycho for? Look at him. He's jumping up against the cage, up against the door, just, doing this weird heavy breathing thing that he does now that I'm used to. But I'm like, no, babe, I don't want this dog. And he's like, no, I want this dog. So I apologized to Ellie, who was very understanding. I understand. It's okay. The noisy ones get all the attention. So the people come and bring Brewski out of his cage. And his name was not Brewski then, by the way. It was Brewski. And they take him to the room where you meet the dog. But they hadn't taken him out to pee before. I guess because they didn't think anybody was going to want that dog. So he gets in a room and there's a couch and two chairs. I'm sitting on one chair. Abdus is sitting on the other chair. The couch is underneath the window. The window is a narrow window high up in the wall. Brewski runs to the sofa and everything is like covered with sheets. Brewski runs to the sofa, jumps up on the sofa, looks out the window and proceeds to piss on the couch. And I looked at Abdus and I was like, hell no. Hell no. And he's just looking at him like, oh, but he's misunderstood. That's all. He just had to go out. So the dog gets down, goes over to Abdus, just all love, love, love. Then he stops, goes over to the other chair, lifts his leg up and proceeds to piss on the chair. So I'm looking at Abdus like, bruh, we're not bringing this dog home. This is not good. And he's like, no, Jackie, no, come on. Nobody's going to take him. Nobody's going to take him. I can't leave him. So I said, all right, okay, I'll tell you what. Let's give it 2 weeks. And if nobody adopts him in 2 weeks, then we'll come back and get him. And yes, Julie, Brewski was exactly like Abdus. So every day for 2 weeks, I am looking on because he would make me do it. He would go to work and he'd come home and he'd be like, did you check the website? And I'd be like, oh, fuck. So I would have to check the ASPCA website to see if Brewski was still available. And every day for 14 days, this dog was available. Nobody wants. So I said, fine, I'll keep my word. We're going to go get Brewski. So we get Brewski. Abdus is so happy. Brewski is so happy. Yes, you sweet boy. Brewski is so happy. Brewski not feeling me because he knows I'm not feeling him. But he's my baby. He's our baby. He grew on us. He grew on me. He had to grow on me. but Abdus loved him from the beginning. And that's how we got Brewski. And now I couldn't do without him. He is my baby. So that's how I got Brewski. And like I said, his name in the beginning was Brewski, like Bruschi, some pretentious bougie ass name that I'm sure some gentrifying somebody gave this dog before they let him out in the street. Because the people at the animal shelter said that they picked him up roaming the streets of Washington, D.C. So Abdus was like, Brewski is a fucked up name for this dog. He's not a Brewski. He's a Brewski. He's a working man's dog. So that's how he got his name, Brewski. So yeah, that's how we got our boy and our baby. And Kelly Morrissey asked on the Facebook page, if I could live anywhere on earth, where would I go? That's a hard one because I haven't been everywhere that I want to go. But with the limited knowledge I have, I would have to say I would live in Colombia. Because my experience in Colombia was profound, absolutely profound, and I loved it. But again, that's with the limited experience that I have. And I hope to travel more because I hope this year I'm gonna get to go to Cuba. I'm hoping that I'll be able to go to Venezuela. I want to go to London this year. As a matter of fact, I did promise my friend that I would make it to London to visit her this year. Shout out to you, Leanne, if you're watching, Leanne and Angie over in England. So I got some more traveling to do, but right now, with the limited experience that I have, definitely Colombia. And once I go to Cuba, I'm pretty sure that'll change and it'll be Cuba. But I definitely want to visit many places on the continent of Africa. So Colombia is in my top 5. Absolutely. So, okay, let's get to some of these questions up in this here chat. Let me take a sip because I have a feeling it's fitting to get kind of serious. All right. Let me go down. Let me see what y'all had to say. The best food I had in Colombia, Emma. Let me tell you what the worst food was. The worst food I had in Colombia was pizza. I don't know what other people's idea of pizza was, but that wasn't it. It was sweet. It had corn on it. It was terrible. The best food I had was in Buenaventura. At the beach resort at the People's Beach at Pianguita in Buenaventura, where you saw the pictures that I showed you from my trip. That was on the beach at Pianguita. The best fresh caught fried fish and fish soup I have ever had in my life. And I mean, it was amazing. And honestly, I think that every meal I had with my folks who opened their doors to me was the best food because it was honestly made with so much love and care. And I actually have started eating a lot more like our people in the diaspora eat, with a lot more rice, a lot more vegetables, a lot less meat. And that's been really, really helpful. But yeah, that fish, that fried fish and that fish stew, woo, that was the joke. And every time I've tried to have fish stew since then back here, I've just been pissed off. So I just, yeah. So let's see. What else y'all got in here? Absolutely, Julie. We can't always talk about Ukraine because it feeds Eurocentrism, if not connected to the rest of the world. And we're going to get into that tomorrow. I do want to let you know that I am going to do a show tomorrow, and Ricky Ryan and Onyusonwu Chatoya are joining me, and we're going to talk about all of this Ukraine and all of this stuff. But for tonight, for right now, what else y'all got? Let's see. How do I feel about David Silberg's sense of humor. Okay, I gotta admit, at first, when I saw David in the chat all the time, some of the way that he would just joke about everything was kind of getting on my nerves. But I appreciate his puns, and I have a lot of respect because nobody who can pun like that. Who's got the pun game like David Silberg? I don't think anybody does. And you know, with a little loving help, he has gotten better with his timing. But I love David Silberg's sense of humor. So Julie has a question for Brewski. Brewski, there's a question for you. Brew, there's a question for you. Come here. Look. Come here. There's a question for you. Come up here. Come on. Now he's not going to get on the chair. But Julie asks, look, Julie asks, who's a good boy? Yeah. Is that you? Are you a good boy? I think that would be you. I think you would be a good boy. Yes, I think so. So let me, yeah, you know who I am at this point. So let me just get rid of that. Yeah, so Brewski is a good boy. He is the best boy, and he is my big old, big-headed baby. Excuse me. Where do I think my next trip out of the U.S. will be, and why there? Definitely Cuba, if the stars and my bank account align right, and I can get some things lined up. Definitely Cuba, and why there? Because hopefully I'll be going with either the Venceremos Brigade or IFCO Pastors for Peace. So I'll be doing some solidarity work, but I want to go to Cuba, and I've always wanted to go to Cuba because I need to see the result of the revolution. I need to see the people holding up the revolution today. I need to see what that looks like, because we don't get to see that in this country. We see ourselves struggling for a revolution here, and that's frustrating. So I feel like it will be another one of those kind of transformational type of things to see the human result of the revolution, and people still living to defend the revolution today. So that's definitely on the list, and something I am absolutely working on. So, all right, Caleb B., my favorite non-political education book, my absolute favorite fiction book. There are actually two, and I don't even like to put them on the same level because they're not. The first is Octavia Butler's Sower of the Seeds. That, well, actually, hell, now I'm thinking of like other Octavia books. All of Octavia Butler's books. And underneath Octavia Butler is Stephen King's The Stand. And shit. The first 2 or 3 books in Stephen King's The Dark Tower series, I think. Those are my favorite non-PE and literally my favorite fiction books. I don't, unfortunately, I think I've just gotten into reading biographies and serious, that kind of thing. Like I just finished Hammer and Hoe, and that was amazing. But yeah, I read a lot, but up until probably maybe 10 years ago, I read a lot of fiction. So those are my favorite books that I actually always go back to. Like I'll read The Stand at least once every couple of years because it's written so well, and it is a really, really good story. And I read Octavia Butler all the time. I love A Parable of the Sower. I'm thinking of a song and Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. I don't know what I'm tired. I'm telling you. Yeah, so those are my favorite non-political education books. I'm a big old mystery kind of science fiction fan. Interestingly enough, um, the man, Walter Mosley wrote a really good science fiction novel that I can't remember the name of right now, but I was so impressed with it because he is not known for science fiction, and the name escapes me right now, but it's a very good book, and I think that's also one of my favorites now that I think about it. Okay, Julie asked, how old were my parents when they had you? They were both 20 years old, so they were both pretty young, pretty young. So my mom would have been 75. My dad is 75. My mom passed away in 1996. So yes, my folks were 20. When you come to Chicago, you missed me, James. I was in Chicago during what was that thing? It was one of the conventions during the Sanders campaign, I think. But when am I coming again? I don't know, but it's also on my list because I also haven't been to a lot of places in this country, and I guess I should see more of this country. So yeah, Chicago is on my list. The pizza in Chicago is it's just so good. And now you're the reason for me to go to Chicago also. So cool. All right. So let me see. Let me scroll down. What other questions you all have? Brewski gonna eat some tissues. Yes, yeah, he was looking for some, but now he hasn't found any, and so now he's just he's just chilling. So let's see what else you all have for questions. Lucretia Williams says, "Do I have any tips for young radicals to stay clear in the struggle?" Woo. I would say to first of all, which was important for me, and I wasn't that young when I got into this. Know why you believe what you believe. Don't get into this because you are following somebody else into this. And I think at first I probably was because I got into like direct action and activism because my boyfriend at the time was also involved in it because that was a big part of the punk movement here in DC. So I wasn't as politically astute as I needed to be, and it was happening at around so the protests at the South African embassy were happening, and I had some messed up analysis that he had to get me straight on. And he said to me, "Look, this is too serious for you to be a hanger on. Don't be doing this just because you're hanging on my ass." And he literally did say that. He's like, "If you're going to be out there for real and know why you're out there." So that is, I think, the first piece of advice I would have for young folks in the struggle. Be clear on why you're in the struggle. Be clear on why you believe what you believe, and be clear on what you believe. Don't we all mature, and some of our perspective does change a bit as conditions may change, as we learn more about some aspects of this system or a part of the history that led us to this point. But our beliefs should not be going all over the place just because the popularity changes. No. Know what you believe, know why you believe what you do, and don't follow people, don't follow personalities. Don't make this about a personality contest. You're in this because this person is popular, or you're in this because you look up to that person. Because remember, human beings are flawed. We're all flawed. We're all completely fucked up. And we are all going to do some things that if you found out, you So don't make it about personalities. Know what you believe. Know why you believe. Do not waver from your beliefs. They can expand. There can be a little bit of I hate the word nuance, but you know what I mean. But don't make it about personalities. And don't think this is going to be easy. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I mean, the direct action, the protest, having the microphone and, doing the interviews, that might be all sexy and everything. And people might be, oh, I want to be just like Jackie Luqman because she's sharp. I mean, first of all, this is tiring. It's very tiring. It's taxing emotionally. It's a lot. And I just happened to get real. I mean, the universe was just putting that thing together by putting me together with a man who was the same way, who had the same perspective in politics and wanted to do the work. That's hard to come by in this life. So unless you're with someone who is like-minded in the struggle, your relationships will suffer. It's going to be hard to date. Not looking forward to it. Do not want. But don't think this is going to be easy. This is not. You're either committed to the struggle for legitimate, principled reasons, or you're not. You should be able to disagree with people in the struggle and not just turn your back on the struggle and say, fuck it, it's all worthless because I don't like what that one says or does. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I hope that was kind of helpful, because those were kind of things that I had to confront my own self with and on. And take care of yourself. This is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So don't try to do everything. You don't have to do everything. And join an organization so you don't have to do everything yourself. So I think that's the best I can do for advice. I wish somebody had told me all of this stuff before I got in, but I had some good help along the way, and I still do have I have a lot of really great mentors, people who I consider mentors who don't even know they're my mentors, but they are to me. So surround yourself with people who are serious about the work and who care about you too. So they'll tell you, I think you're doing too much. I'm not going to ask you to do anything else. So I think that's the advice I have. Excuse me. Jalavaris, what's up? Ask, how can I listen to BAM by any means necessary now that the Sputnik app is down? Well, you can go to the Sputnik webpage, sputniknews.com, and let me put that in the chat for y'all right now. So just in case, there you go. So you can have access to it. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you can you'll find the shows at the bottom of the page, and you'll usually see our show from the previous day there on the page. We were just alerted earlier today that if you try to listen live, because there's a little antenna at the top of the page that you can click on at 2:00 p.m. Eastern time to listen to the first hour of the show, that apparently is not working. I do not know why, but the YouTube channel for By Any Means Necessary, BAM Necessary, is still up, so you can listen to the live hour from 3 to 4 p.m. Still on YouTube. The Twitter feed is still up. The Facebook page is still up. So I have been posting the first segments, interviews on the Facebook page and sharing them out to the other platforms. And that's how you can listen to us. But you can catch us on the live hour, the second hour of the show from 3 to 4 p.m. on YouTube, BAM Necessary, excuse me. BAM space necessary on YouTube live. At least that was true as of today. Who knows what Monday will bring? So, just, yeah. So yeah, I talked about how I got my, okay. So activism and organizing are different things. And how I got my organizing feet wet, that's Ajamu Baraka's fault. It is, because I joined Black Alliance for Peace, and then Ajamu had me doing stuff and doing things. I don't like supervising and doing. I don't like it, but he didn't care. So that's kind of how I seriously, that's how kind of how I got my organizing, serious organizing feet wet, the Black Alliance for Peace and the Ajamu Baraka, and partially also, believe it or not, through my church, being the moderator of my church, Plymouth Congregational United Church of Christ. The moderator in a congregational church setting is like the highest ranking layperson in the church. So I have to run all these meetings, and I get to tell people what to do, and I'm not crazy about it, but we're in some very difficult times. So I've had to learn, I've had to stick to being diplomatic rather than cussing people out in public, because you're not supposed to be doing that in church. I've had to learn to delegate. I have had to, just a whole lot of stuff. So between those two things, I think in the past 6, maybe 7 years, that's where I got my organizing, my serious organizing feet wet. Excuse me. Oh, let me scroll down and see what else y'all got about to ask me anything. I'm scrolling down. Let me see. Kenneth, obviously, a native here in the DMV, said that, did you know they changed the wards around? The Navy Yard is in Ward 8 now. Ward 8 has more vanilla. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to really dig into that whole changing the boundaries of the district, but this is not the first time they've done that, because they expanded Capitol Hill several years ago. I want to say like 20 years ago, they expanded Capitol Hill to reach all the way to Pennsylvania Avenue, up toward the bridge there, the Sousa Bridge. That was a few years ago. So it wasn't the first time the gentrifiers did that. And yeah, a lot. So let's see. What else y'all got for questions in here? Let me see. I'm scrolling down. I know y'all are in here in the chat, and the chat is going so fast while I'm talking. I'm missing so much of your questions. John Kester asked, did RT close its doors? Yes, they did. As we talked about earlier today, and shout out to Kim Brown, Burn It Down, Kim Brown, on her show earlier today, showing mad love for us and the folks over at RT in this censorship that we are experiencing from the state, because we got the nerve to not come out here and hate Putin just because they said so. Yes, John Kester, RT literally closed their studios down, laid people off earlier today, I think it was. So it's a damn shame. It's a damn crime. And it's just I have so much respect for the work that several people over there did. Now, RT went through some changes where they went kind of right on some of their shows, but nobody over at RT deserved what was done to them. And so far, knock on wood, Sputnik News is still up and running. But again, we are ever watchful that the state is not going to stop trying to come after left voices that criticize the state. I mean, real radical left voices that criticize the state for starting this imperialist bullshit in Ukraine. But again, that's tomorrow. I'm gonna save that for tomorrow. Thank you so much, Global Sisters Media. Full power salute and solidarity, and for the insights and analysis I shared on the IAC webinar earlier this week. Thank you so much. I did a couple of webinars earlier this week. One of them I know was not recorded. Another, well, the one wasn't a webinar. It was just an impromptu Zoom thing that was done at Ursinus University, Ursinus College, where Dr. Edward Arnachi is professor, and he asked if I would hop on at the last minute. I was like, okay. And okay, I'm going to tell you a funny story about that too, because that was wild. But the IAC webinar was this week, and I'm waiting for the video for that so I can share it with you, because that was a really, really excellent webinar. And not just because I was on it, because it, other folks who were on it. It was really, really fabulous. Excuse me. And shout out to Lene DeMoy for shooting us $10. Thank you so much. I can't find your the moment when you did it, but thank you so much. Appreciate you for all your support. Lene says that I couldn't do what you do. I cuss everyone out. Trust me. Believe me, trust me. When the camera is not on, this is what I think people need to kind of realize. Like, you see me, literally, you see me for, you hear me 1 hour a day, and then you see me another hour a day. So you see me 2 hours a day. You know what I'm doing the rest of that time? I'm cussing Bama's out. That's what I'm not on the clock. I'm not on the camera. I'm sitting back here. These motherfuckers think they can say and do. Yeah, that's, so yeah, you the polished and professional Jackie is on here, for 2 hours. Thank you so much, Quaker Anarchist. Thank you for the super sticker. I know why, because I haven't gone far enough down to see them. But when I get there, I'll share them so folks can see. Appreciate you so much. Let me get to some more in your questions. Money Now says, what advice do I have for people who are trying to find their role lane in the movement? Ooh. Try everything that appeals to you, and if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. I think it's that simple. If it's not something that resonates with you, don't do it. Because the worst thing that people do is they do things in this work that they hate. And at some point, we've all got to do some stuff that we don't like to do, because that's, adult, right? I don't like to pay my bills, but I have to, right? So there's a little bit of that. But when we're talking about the marathon that is this work, find something that you love and do that. Commit to that. And don't be afraid to try different things. I said I was on like 2 or 3 different committees in the Black Alliance for Freedom. Well, 2, before I found the committee that I liked, that I could roll with. Everything is not for everybody, and that is okay. Don't let people shame and bully you into, oh, you'd be great to do this. Nobody knows. I don't think anybody knows what your capacity is for what it is you want to do better than you do. And you may be good at something, but that might not be the thing that really lights your fire. So, do the thing, find the thing that lights your fire, and do that. And don't be afraid to be like, okay, I tried this, but I'm not really cool with it, so I'm going to move on to something else. And so that's what I would say. Try different stuff, see how it feels, see how, if it feeds you, if it energizes you, if it energizes you, if you feel like doing that thing gives you a sense of purpose. And I would say, if it doesn't fit any of those, then move on to something else. That's what I think. Let's see. What is going on? Let's see. Let me go down. Thank you, Tay. I am getting him together across, or them together across many areas. I mean, I got a little bit of, I know this much, right? I know this much to keep me from making the mistakes that I made in the past. That got me in trouble a couple of times. And so I'll happily share that with folks. Monty said, I already accepted I'm just going to be the fun single auntie. Look, don't say that. You don't know. I was prepared to be single for the rest of my life, and then I met Abdus. So the universe be doing stuff that we don't even know about. So I've learned not to ever say never, because I swore that I won't never gonna find nobody, and this dude shows up, and look at what we did. Look at what we did together. So never say never. Comfort asks, have I read anything by Lenin, Stalin, or Enver Hoxha? What's my opinion on anti-revisionist Marxism, Leninism? Dude, I got this big glass of wine. I don't even think I can parse that out right now. What's my opinion on the American Party of Labor, or the ICMLPO? I'm going to be honest with you, Comfort. That question is way too heavy for me right now. I have read some Lenin. I have read some Stalin. As a matter of fact, I was looking for a speech that Stalin made where he was talking about how imperialism carves up the world, and I couldn't put my hands on it before, because I'm working on another document. I'm working on something else, some talking points. And I couldn't put my hands on this speech, but I read it before, and I remembered that Stalin said something about how imperialism carves up the world. And I wanted to reference it, but I have to go back and really dig for it and find it. But yes, I have read some Lenin. I have read some Stalin. I have read some Marx. I am not familiar with Enver Hoxha, but I will look into that person. And I'm actually not familiar with the organizations you reference, the American Party of Labor or the ICMLPO. But I'll look them up, and thanks for that information. Wonderful thing about YouTube, I can go back and read the comments and dig into those. So let me see. Is this a real question? Will you all move to Odyssey? If you're there, perhaps. Let's see. Let me find some what y'all questions. Are y'all in the chat just like talking to each other? Is that what's going on like you usually do? Like as if I don't do the same thing. I hop in the chat. Goddess Crew, do I think Jessica Fletcher is committing those murders on Murder, She Wrote? Hell yeah, that heifer committing those murders. You know she is. Everywhere she goes, that heifer go to Hawaii, somebody gets killed. She goes to Panama, somebody gets killed. She goes to New York, somebody gets killed. She goes to Chicago, somebody gets killed. Jessica Fletcher was committing those murders and then writing about them in her books, talking about Murder, She Wrote. How about Murder, She Committed? That's what it was. I do think she was the serial killer. Okay, let's see. Lucretia Williams, but Murder, She Wrote is one of my favorite shows. I know it's a weird kind of flex, but it is. Do you know any radical faith groups to join? It's important for me to get faith communities to actually be on board. Whew, Lord Brown Palestinian Jesus. It is the Christians And some of the Muslims, well, a lot of the Muslims actually, the Christians and the Muslims collectively, the people of faith who don't want to be political. Woo, chow. So we were fortunate because we became exposed to our pastor, because I saw him do an interview on News Channel 8 here in Washington, D.C. with some right-wing conservative dude. And he was practically cussing this man out on this interview. He's, in his face and got the finger, and he said to him, you can't even be honest with your own white supremacy, and you blah, blah, and this, that, and the third, to not disrespect me, and on and on. So the interview ends, and the moderator says, well, I want to thank my two guests, whatever the right-wing white dude was, and thank you, Reverend Graylin Hagler. And I perked up because I was like, Reverend, who pastored this dude? Where's his church at? Because we need to be there. So I go to the computer, I look up Reverend Graylin Hagler, I find his church, Plymouth Congregational United Church of Christ here in Washington, D.C., 5301 North Capitol Street, Northeast. And we're also streaming online on Facebook, Plymouth Congregational United Church of Christ on Facebook, and looked up the church, told Abdus about what I saw. We found the interview later on, and he watched it, and we were like, we got to go visit this guy's church. And we did. We went to visit the church, sat in the back a couple of Sundays, listened to him preach, and we were like, true, I like it. And we joined the church. So we became members, I think maybe in 2014. Somebody nominated me to be the moderator. Not something I wanted, but it was a need that needed doing. So I did it. But as far as radical faith organizations are concerned, there is what is the name of it? Christian Social. What is the name of the organization? Christians for Socialism? Is that what it is? I have to find it. Institute for Christian Socialism. There it is. That I just became familiar with. I'm going to drop the link to their website in the chat. I'm currently kind of checking them out. I don't know a whole lot about them, but they piqued my interest. So I would say, look into them. I think Sojourners is okay. It's a publication. Yeah, they've got some messy stuff about Ukraine, which most people do. But yeah, the organizations for people of faith. I mean, I think IFCO Pastors for Peace is a good organization. I do enjoy working with them, but that's a hard one. It really is a hard one because our faith. There it is. There you go. Thank you, Lene. Our faith has been the whitewashing of our faiths and the radical expression of our faith traditions. Like, people don't even know that there's a whole liberation theology that is literally based on radical politics, Black radical politics, Latinx radical politics. People don't know who James Cone is. They don't know who Albert Klieg is. I mean, they don't know who Oscar Romero is. There's this entire interpretation of this faith and who Jesus was and is as a radical revolutionary who was executed by the state. That message doesn't get out because people are so still stuck in the white supremacist, patriarchal, settler colonial interpretation of this faith. And it's really hard to find folks of faith who are left radical. and who are not afraid to express their faith, because I can tell you, man, don't nobody eat people of faith up like folks on the left do. That's just true. That is just the truth. Ugh. So I'm hoping that these folks at Institute for Christian Socialism are kind of turn out to be cool. But I feel you, the struggle to find organizations of faith that are radical is very difficult. The Black radical tradition, the liberation theology tradition in Christianity was crushed right along with the Black Power movement. I don't think that's a coincidence, and that's a serious topic for another show. But I hope giving you that link to the Institute for Christian Socialism helps you out a little bit. There you go, Quaker Anarchist. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Appreciate you a great deal. Lene asked the question, "Will you be my friend?" We're already friends. We're already friends. I love you, girl. Thank you so much. Oh, let's see. Let me go down. Where's the polished and professional Brewski laying here on the floor waiting for the rest of that pizza crust? That's where he is. Let me see what other questions you got. Gardis Watts asked, "Who are the journalists who I look up to or have shaped me professionally and politically?" Glenn Ford and Bruce Dixon, Margaret Kimberly, and Helen Thomas. If you don't know who Helen Thomas was, she used to be a White House correspondent who was basically fired because she stood up for Palestinian people. And she was like, she's unapologetic in it. But I can't remember the man's name, and I'm so sorry that I cannot remember his name. But I remember watching the news accounts of the uprising at Attica when it was happening, when I was small. And the journalist, the Black man who covered, he was inside and he covered, and he's featured in the documentary. And when the last documentary on Attica that was made, he was in his 90s at that point. And I cannot remember his name right now, but I remember thinking when I was young and watching this Black man tell the story of those Black men in Attica to a country that didn't know anything about how they were being treated. And I didn't even realize that people didn't care at that time, but I just thought it was so powerful to see this man so emotional about the plight of those men in prison. And I cannot remember his name for the life of me right now, but I remember then thinking, I think I want to do that. I think I want to tell people stories. So he was an enormous influence. I think the first time I saw Gwen Ifill on television, I know her politics, I know, but to see a Black woman delivering, talking about politics in the news, that was big for me. But meeting Bruce Dixon and talking to Bruce Dixon and Glenn Ford and having read their stuff and having learned so much from them, and then to meet them and to see that they were just solid, down-to-earth, beautiful people. I mean, it was amazing for me. So those are the people I think who I can right off the top of the dome really they're the standard for me. And I don't come nowhere near them, but I aspire. So there's that. Let's see. Lauren Jeniger, I hope I pronounced that correctly, asked, have I gotten any reaction about that dopey Terrell Star? Funny, haven't heard anything else about that dude since he was gathered so adroitly by Margaret Kimberly. Of all the dopey clowns, this is a Black man who lives, I think, and works in Russia. I think he wrote for the Griot or one of those neoliberal Black Front publications. Just post a bunch of absolutely ignorant, stupid shit about Ukraine, but then post a picture of himself with a member of the Right Sector. The Right Sector is one of the neo-Nazi groups in Ukraine. And then he changes his name on Twitter from "I will no longer be known as Russian Star." Man, get the fuck at it. But I do believe that he has been, he has been, pretty much pushed over into his corner, as he well should be. I'm sure he's probably, tweeting stuff, but I don't pay any attention to him. And, anyway, God is cruel. I mean, it was true. It's like, oh, I wasn't expecting something that deep. Oh. And neither was the wine. The wine was not expecting something that deep either. The wine is like, no, we're not here for that. Oh, okay. What else y'all got? What other questions y'all got? Talk about my favorite songs right now. And I have to say, that was like 15 minutes ago. Okay, so my favorite songs. They're cross genres. My favorite gospel song is "It Shall Never Lose Its Power," the blood that Jesus shed for me way back on Calvary. Yeah, I love that song. That is my favorite gospel song. Or hymn, I guess. I'm a big old metalhead. I love metal. I'm getting back into Seven Dust right now. One of my favorite songs by Seven Dust. Ooh, there's so many of them. Dang. I think Black by Seven Dust, maybe. Possibly Praise. Yeah, a lot. Favorite hip hop. Wu-Tang ain't nothing. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Hands down. That's just, yeah. What other song can I listen to on repeat and never ever get tired of that shit? Miles Davis, Some Kind of Blue. Most of John Coltrane, I think. I love John Coltrane. So that should let you know what it sounds like in my house at any given time. You never know what you're gonna listen to. You never know what you're gonna hear when you walk up in here. So I think those are kind of my favorite songs. Bad Brains, Eye Against Eye, Reignition, I think is my favorite. Band in DC may be my favorite Bad Brains song, but Reignition is right up there with that. So see, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. My top 5 books, I think, Darren, I think I said that my top 5 books. Now, are we talking books? Are we talking like these kind of books? Because I don't know what to, I don't, Hammer and Hoe is up there, probably Asada, I think. How Walter Rodney's Groundings with My Brothers and How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, I think, is neck and neck. I actually haven't read Walter Rodney's Russian Revolution, and I don't know why I have not, but I haven't, but I need to. I'm kind of in the middle of Blueprint for Black Power by Dr. Amos Wilson. I don't know if that's a favorite. It's just a lot. It's a lot. So that's one that I am enjoying. Claudia Jones, Left of Marx. I really dig that. I just finished reading that. That just made me so happy. I really just love that. So those are, I think, my top 5 favorite-ish books. That's probably, there wasn't 5. I think there was like 7. Let me see. I think I probably missed some questions. No, I didn't. Okay. All right. Let me scroll down. Let me scroll down. I'm not sure if there's a question for me or is this just a random question in the chat. Could BPM find liberation ministers to do weekly services? Brewski has signaled his approval of this idea by putting his paws on my feet. And I am feeling like that is the spirit of Jesus touching my feet, much like the woman touched Jesus's feet with her hair. See where let me stop before the Holy Spirit does some things to me that I don't like. But but I mean, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. And I kind of dig that. Brother Kaba, how are you doing? Thank you so much for hopping in here. I'm so excited. So I did already answer the question, but how I became politicized, excuse me, was partially because I have a family full of Black folks who don't take no shit and stood up to a lot of racist, white supremacist violence when my mom integrated her high school, and partially because I've always kind of loved politics. I used to watch C-SPAN for fun when I was in high school, but mostly because I was a punk in DC at the time when punk was very political, had a lot of concerts that were centered around protests and issues like that. And that's started, getting into the protests against apartheid in South Africa. And that's how it started. That's really how it started in a very, very weird way. Excuse me. So let me see. Let me scroll down, see what other questions y'all have. Norval Rogers said, me and Margaret Kimberly should have a show called Eviscerated where we just take people to bits. I kind of dig it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of dig it, but we got enough on our plates. Don't be putting more work on our plates for us right now, but that's kind of funny. I did not know this. Thanks for letting us know, Ricky. Terrell is in Ukraine right now with a press vest and a helmet on. Lord have mercy. Oh, brown Palestinian Jesus, why? Oh, good grief. I'm sure he's there covering, the Russian war crimes that aren't really happening. Because that's the line now that a lot of so-called news outlets are trying to report, that Russians are committing war crimes. The Russians are like going in with a few little bit of troops and weaponry they have, and they're like, y'all want to put down your weapons? Yes? Okay. And then when they don't, they're like, all right, you asked for this heat. So, look, Terrell Star, Lord have mercy. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, Pookie Wood, did I watch All of Us Are Dead? Hell yes, I did. And it was actually way better than I thought it would be. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, I do like a good zombie flick. I do. There's something cathartic about zombies eating people. I know that sounds sick and messed up. I know. But you know how they say if you're angry at people, like imagine them naked in front of you and just laugh at that imagery in your head. Yeah, that's not enough for me because my issue of pettiness it's deep seated and cannot be resolved with a mere visualization of people in embarrassing moments. Oh, no, 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 no. I like to imagine people who give me grief being eaten by zombies. It is sick. I know. Yes. But enjoyable. And even though All of Us Are Dead is a series, it's a South Korean zombie series, even though the characters are all high school kids, which usually annoy me, this series was actually pretty good. And it took a couple of twists and turns that I wasn't expecting, but I absolutely did enjoy it. It was very good. I recommend that people watch it if you like that kind of stuff. All of Us Are Dead. On Netflix, I think. Tristan asked, have I listened to Zulu or Move BHC too? Oh, what? No, I have not listened to these two new black hardcore punk bands, but I believe that they will be worth my time and I shall peruse their content that you have provided for me to direct my listening pleasures to. Thank you, Tristan. Thank you very much. Favorite jazz artist? Ooh. Norville. Dang it. Favorite jazz artist? I don't know that I have a favorite. I know that's a cop out, total cop out, but I dig Coltrane. I really love Coltrane. I think I love Coltrane a little bit more than I love Miles Davis because Coltrane, I feel like his stuff moves me. I mean, Miles Davis is I'm impressed with his talent, but Coltrane moves me. It causes emotion. It stirs up, the emotional waters for me. So it's got to be Coltrane for me, I think, as a favorite jazz artist. All right. So, let's see. Who's metal band? No, I wasn't in the metal band. No, I hope you weren't talking about me, Norman. No, I was not in the metal band. My ex-boyfriend was in a punk band, and the name of the band was called Beefeater. Like the gin, not like well, actually, yeah, it was kind of a play on that because Tomas, whose last name I can't remember right now, the lead singer was a vegetarian and very militant about it. And he would always be pissed off when we would, be sitting around eating meat. But he was also straight edge, so he didn't drink either. So it was like a play on both the gin, the alcoholic beverage, and the veganism. He was a vegan, yeah. So that's that. Norval asked if am I a Gore fan? I gotta say no. I went to a Gore concert one time and I ain't like it. I don't like being doused in stuff when I don't keep the stuff on the stage. I don't want, nobody needs to. This is not Nickelodeon slime hour here. I don't do, no. So no, I'm not I'm not a gore fan at all. That's right, Tay. Listen to Seven Dust. It's good for your health. Let's see. What other questions do you have? Let me go down. Let me go down. Thank you, Lene. I appreciate you. She said she challenges y'all to match or beat her donation. Let's keep Brewski in pizza crusts. Indeed. The pizza, it's funny because it's just a little thing that I do once every other week because I have restricted my diet so much to take care of my kidneys. So I don't eat a lot of meat anymore. I don't, I've gone to vegan cheese. I've, yeah, I just, I can't eat a lot of tomatoes because they're bad for my kidneys because of the potassium. I can't eat a lot of potatoes because of the potassium. So there's a lot of things that I have to cut back on. I can't eat bananas. I can't eat oranges. Really bad for my kidneys. So the pizza every other week is just a little treat that I do for myself and Brewski because, you know, we do try to be good. So he gets the crust. And I get to have a pizza. So that's, you know, he's very, he's very happy dog, but he's a good dog. Let's see. What you trying to say? Quaker anarchist? What's wrong with watching C-SPAN as a teen? What, I mean, okay, let me scroll down. See if I can, what other questions you all have. Jedediah Ben Israel, am I familiar with Nellie Fuller's works, books, and podcasts, and what's my analysis? I am, and Mr. Abdus Luqman was a big fan of Nellie Fuller, and I can't say I disagree with everything. I don't disagree with everything Fuller said. At the same time, I don't agree with everything he said either. I think that when anyone overemphasizes the antisocial behavior that some of us exhibit and ascribe it to just us being ignorant without a fuller analysis, I think that can be problematic. But I think that on the whole, I mean, I don't think that I've heard a lot from Nellie Fuller that I'm just like, oh, that's just, ugh. But I haven't heard or read everything that he has put out there either. And no, I'm not that kind of chick. I'm sorry, comrade Mawusi. I'm not that kind of chick. And honestly, I never have been. And I have to tell you, I went through the whole soul, the R&B and all that, and I was just never, I respect him for his work, songs that I like, but for me to just chill, it's never gonna be like smooth, kind of, not really. Let's see. Let me find another question. Can I have Satan? Well, Satan and I are not on speaking terms right now because Satan said that I did not stand up enough for him when people were calling white people devils. And Satan said that, look, I may do a lot of shit, but I don't do that kind of shit. So until just, I've actually never had seitan. I'm not crazy about tofu. It's not the taste, it's the texture for me. And if it's not firm, I'm not gonna eat it. I will try it, but if the texture's messed up, I'm not eating it. So I probably can have seitan, but the question is, does Satan want me? So Brewski is a crust punk. Yes, he is. He is a crust punk. Raphael Outland asks, how long have I been growing out my dreads? And why did I decide to grow them? Because my hair was overprocessed. I was perming my hair and it was just destroyed. And I think I've been growing them probably, I think it's been 13 years now. I think it's been about 13 years now. So yeah, it wasn't because of anything revolutionary or radical. It's just like my hair is very thick and I just got tired of doing my hair all the time. It would take me an hour or longer to do my hair, and I just got tired of it. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try locks. And I thought I was getting sister locks, but the girl who did my hair was never certified for sister locks so they actually weren't sister locks. And I found out that they weren't actually sister locks the day before my wedding when I got my hair done. And I said, no, it was like the week before my wedding, and I looked for a sister lock loctician, and the lady comes and looks at my hair and she's like, oh honey, those are not sister locks. She's like, it's interlocked, but those are not sister locks, and we can't do your hair. So yeah, that was interesting. Have I ever Pamela Jones asked, have I ever cut my locks and then started all over from scratch? No. And I actually never gave any thought to that. I don't know that I ever will. I don't know. Unless I have to. I have cut them. I have cut them to be shorter. This is probably as long as I like them. When they start to grow a little bit longer than this, I'll have them trimmed, but I can't see myself, just cutting them all off unless I have to. Yeah, I don't think I will. Thank you so much, Norval Rogers. I'm a great analyst and fun. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let me see. What other questions y'all got? I will not apologize to tofu. It's spongy. Well, I mean, how am I supposed to eat a sponge? You want me to eat that? And you think like putting some barbecue sauce and some gravy is gonna help? It's not gonna help. It's a sponge. I'm not putting that in my mouth. Yes, I can have fish, Phil, and I do love fish. I do like fish. So yes, I can have fish. No, and hell no. Let me look at the time. And I'll tell you why. Because I saw that transition when it happened. Abdus and I saw that transition when it happened. We used to watch Breaking Brown pretty regularly. And we saw that show where all of a sudden we're draped in the American flag and we're putting on the Trump hat and we're talking about America needs to make us white. And we are distancing ourselves from our people, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. And all of a sudden, this new acronym pops up. And then we see people claiming that they're the ones who advanced the discourse on reparations and not giving any credit or respect to the people who came before them, who were doing the work before them. We saw the actual shitting on those folks' work. They ain't done nothing. If they were so important, why couldn't they do more than they did when it was the work of those people who actually made the hearing on HR 40 a couple of years ago possible? And then those very folks turned around and got mad because Yvette Carnell wasn't invited to speak on the panel. The fuck? Now, it was bad enough, some of the people that they did have to speak on the panel, but ever do an interview? No. Like I said before, know what you believe, stick with what you believe, and don't be moved from it. No. I know that's probably not popular, but it is what it is. Okay, so excuse me. Okay, I cannot believe I have reached the end of the comments. Y'all don't have any more questions? Excuse me. Oh, dude, you want me to answer a serious question after a third of this glass of wine? Okay. Capitalism is the exploitation of people's labor for the profit of a person or a class of people, a small class of people. Capitalism exists on the premise of inequality, that people have to be at the bottom to provide the labor so that somebody else can profit. That's a really quick and dirty, right off the top of my head, explanation, definition of capitalism. Business is, I have made some pens and I want to sell some pens to people. That's commerce. That's, capitalism is when the profit from someone's labor is taken from them and they are not paid adequately or fairly for their labor, but the person that they that they work for, that they labor for, makes most of the profit. Think of like feudalism, but instead of with plots of land and crops, it's like your paycheck. So the idea that people can own a business, you can be a business owner and actually not have any employees, which is actually the case for most Black people who own businesses in this country. A lot of us have businesses, but we don't have any employees. You know why? Because we're not capitalists. We're not making enough profit to be able to hire employees. But some of us would love to hire a bunch of employees so we could exploit their labor. But that to me, I think, is the basic, easiest explanation that I can think of right off the top of my dome with like half a glass of wine of the difference between capitalism and business. You can own a business and not exploit somebody's labor, unless, of course, you're getting the materials for your pen from a sweatshop in Taiwan, say. So I hope that made sense. Thank you, Norval. The non-wine enhanced explanation for capitalism: profit extraction, commoditization for third-party importers, typically extractives for cash. Cropping, benefit doesn't go to the colonized person. There you go. 2 questions. Tafari, what's going on? What am I presently reading and studying? And what would I like to learn more about? I'm presently in the middle of Dr. Amos Wilson's Blueprint for Black Power. And actually, I'm not in the middle of it. I'm like a fourth of the way in. And what else am I reading? I just started, because I just got it. I just got Glenn Ford's book. So I have that. I am studying more about Stalin because I don't know as much about Stalin as I am comfortable with. I read a speech that he did. I can't even remember when it was that he gave the speech, but he did talk about imperialism and that there would have to be a war between capitalists, that was inevitable, that a war between capitalists, I think, was inevitable. But I can't remember where the speech was. So I'm trying to read more Stalin to understand more Stalin. What would I like to learn more about? The history of China, I think. The history of China, and I would like to learn more about the ancient histories of African kingdoms before colonization and the deeper history of the liberation struggles against colonization on the continent. What I know of those struggles is like a teacup amount, and I'm not comfortable with that. So I want to learn much more about those things. So that's what I'm studying, learning about now, and that's what I'd like to know more of. Can I speak on my experience with the real news? Sure. The Spider-Man 7285, that suggests that there is the Spider-Man 7284. And I'd like to know what your relationship with the Spider-Man 7284 is like. 7285. So I'm not sure what you want to know about the real news. I appreciate the opportunity that I have to still be able to contribute to the real news, because I'm going to start doing that again more. I had to take a break, with the passing of my husband and everything. So I'm kind of getting back to some kind of, I'm not going to call it normal because it's not. I think it is kind of typical of any left space, right? You have to navigate all of the different aspects of leftist thought. Everybody ain't gonna be as left as you are. So I think it was the real news has been a good outlet that provided some good content. And let me say that my experience with the Real News Network gave me the opportunity to meet and work with Eddie Marshall Conway. And if nothing else, if for nothing else, I am thankful for the opportunity that I have with the Real News, that I get to pick up my phone and dial Eddie Marshall Conway's number and say, "Hey brother, how you doing?" That's huge. Huge for me. I walked into the office at the Real News Network, and Eddie was one of the people who offered me the position. And the whole time I'm sitting there at dinner with him and the other person, I'm just sitting there thinking, me and Abdus, we're just sitting there thinking, we are sitting here having dinner with Eddie Conway, Eddie Conway. And every day I walked into that studio and got to be in an editorial meeting with him and got to work with him and talk with him, that feeling never left me. And it has not left me yet. So as far as experiences with the Real News Network is concerned, that's really the one that is the most important for me. I got to work with Eddie Conway. That's it. That's it. So thank you for asking that. Tafari said, and since I have some wine, have I ever had muscadine wine? I actually haven't. I have not had muscadine wine. I'm interested to hear what other people have to say if they've had it, and let me know what you think of it. Let's see. What other questions y'all got? I know, Tafari, that book is, I'm like, yo, you could have stopped writing at any time. I mean, did you have to? But yeah, it is long. It is long. Thank you, Ricky. Read more Stalin. I am. I'm working on it. I'm trying to. Let's see. Let me go down. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate this. I don't look at myself as somebody who has any particular special knowledge. I've just been really fortunate. I think I've just been really weirdly, wildly fortunate in this life to be able to do what I love to do for a living, which a lot of people don't get to do that, especially in this capitalist hellscape that we live in. And the thing that I love to do just happens to be radical politics. And I just And through this, I have come in contact with some people who have really blessed my life in ways that they don't know that they have, just by being who they are and by welcoming me and Abdus and opening their arms to me. It's just been dope. It's just been dope. And I'm this is not the future I wanted, right, without Abdus, but this is the reality. And I am getting to the point where I'm kind of excited about what will come. So, I mean, that's good. I think that's really good. So thank you, the Spider-Man, for clearing that up for me, that you're in the 7,285th parallel version of Earth. Speaking of that, did you know that Mr. Luqman, Abdus Luqman, was also a big old sci-fi junkie, and he absolutely believed in alternate dimensions. So yeah, so that's and we would have these great conversations about dreams and how maybe when you dream, you're actually living your life in another dimension. Really, really cool stuff. So Mr. K asks, how connected are these new media outfits to the intelligence services? I'm not exactly sure what you mean, like what new media outfits you're talking about. So if you can give me a little bit more information, a little bit further down, I'll try to answer that for you. Thanks, Norval. It's different, and I haven't left. I'll be providing some content again soon, just probably not as regularly as I was before. Let's see. Yes, she does, and it's on the poverty draft. And if you you need to watch that. You need to watch that interview right now because it is so incredibly relevant to the moment we're in. It was a great interview. Let's see. Norman Richmond asked, am I aware of Abdul Akalimat's Dialectics of Liberation? I've heard of it, but I have not read it. So it's on my list, very long list of books and works that I want to get, that I need to read. Thanks again, Lene. Appreciate you. No, the real news did not get broken up. No, that is not what happened. And that's actually one of the things I cannot talk about. So no, but it didn't get broken up. The real news is still there, though not as robust as it used to be. Okay, so yeah, I actually cannot talk about that. What do I think of the APSP? Y'all will have to stop using acronyms because it's Friday, it's 8:46, and I'm drinking wine. I cannot remember what the APSP is right now. You're going to have to help me with that one. And I'll tell you what I think of it if you tell me what that is. Scrolling down for more questions. Excuse me. Woo. Okay, thank you. African People's Socialist Party. I don't know as much about them as I want to. I'm more familiar with the All African People's Revolutionary Party. I'm not as familiar as I should be with the African People's Socialist Party. But thanks for clearing that up because I'll look into them. Last question from Tafari. Okay, because you only got like 13 minutes left. Next time in my area, can you do some portrait? What? Cut it out. Stop. Nobody wants a picture of me. I'm real weird about that. I mean, okay, I'm not going to say no, but I mean, okay. that's so weird. I don't know why that's just so weird for me. But yeah. So okay. I'm at the end of your questions so far. Uh um what else you want to know? And Tafari, honestly, the question is yes, you can, my doors are open, absolutely cool. And I'm seeing a bunch of notifications over here on Facebook. And yeah, I'm not probably not monitoring Facebook as much as I should be. So I hope people are able to post their questions here. If you have any more, you've got about 12 more minutes to ask me anything. And I should tell you that tomorrow at 2 o'clock p.m., I think this is going to work out. At 2 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, I am doing another show on Ukraine where we are going to have the serious discussion on Ukraine and all of the surrounding and contributing issues, what it means to Africans here and on the continent and around the world and all that kind of stuff. And I'm very, very happy that my guests are going to be Ricky Ryan and Onyusonwu Chatoye, and we are going to chop imperialism the fuck up tomorrow at 2 o'clock p.m. right here on Black Power Media. So yeah, come join us for that. So let me scroll. The last book I read that I just finished was Claudia Jones' Left of Marx. Fabulous, fabulous book. Wonderful book. Let's see. Am I a socialist? Hell yeah, I am. Scientific socialist along the Sankara, Lumumba, well, yeah, along those veins. But yes, I am a socialist. Let's see. What is going on? Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to find the beginning of Mr. K. Okay. Okay. All right. Uh-huh. Well, I mean, okay. Well, I think I see what you're getting at, Mr. K. I hope and I don't want to mischaracterize you. Look, ever since COINTELPRO, and certainly before then, I have known that this state and the agents of the state, the intelligence agent, the agents, the law enforcement agents, and all of that, they already know everything about me they need to know. I don't need to get here. I don't need to get on social media and have an Ask Me Anything show for them to, like, the FBI is not sitting here like, oh, I did not know that about Jacqueline Luqman. Oh, please. They know everything about me they need to know. And a whole lot of shit they don't. Of that I am absolutely certain. So I don't see I don't see this as like, a cautionary thing, but I understand why some people, would, and I certainly respect them for that. But I mean, these platforms that we do this content on, these are all owned by companies that are in some way connected to the state. So people who did all of their work like you did pre-internet, I guess, or pre-World Wide Web, I should say. I guess you're able to have a little bit more anonymity, I suppose. I guess the dark web is a place. I don't know. I've never seen it. They keep saying it's real. I'm not sure. But I think that for me, this was just a way to relax, just to chill out, just to have a good time. Anything serious that anybody wants to know about me, They probably already know. The intelligence agencies, they already know. And my belief is that there isn't anything that I need to keep from you that you can use against me, because there's nothing in my life that I'm ashamed of. So I don't know. I mean, take that, you know. Are you serious? Wait a minute. Oh, okay. That came out of right field. I'm just sorry. I just got to let that sit there for a minute. Oh. I honestly legit was not expecting that one. I mean, at least you pulled that off. You surprised me. That was okay. To answer your question, no. Oh, that was interesting. Okay. How much longer before I'm not telling you. That I'm not telling you. Let's see. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Prester. I appreciate you. Yeah, let's see if we can. Because we haven't seen each other in a minute, and let's see if we can do that. Okay. Sort of serious question. Gardis, have I ever interviewed a person where I was surprised of the person's answers? Yes. And have I been interviewed where I was thrown off by the questions? No, that's actually never happened, I don't think. Because I haven't been interviewed that much. Yeah, I don't think so. But have I interviewed someone where I was surprised by their answers? Yes. And I'm actually not going to tell you who it was. Because I don't want to start any more shit. I actually don't want to start any more shit this time. Oh, but actually, okay, it was Adolph Reed Jr. I interviewed Adolph Reed Jr. for the Real News Network a couple of years ago, and it wasn't that I was surprised by his answers as much as I think I was surprised that he seemed kind of surprised that I challenged him on some of the things that he said. And it was respectful, and I mean the interview was still up. You can go watch it. And after that interview, interestingly enough, Ajamu said to me, "That was a good interview, sister. You need to have him on again, because it looked like you kind of backed him up a little." So yeah, that actually, yeah, that did happen. Yes, I do. I do believe in scientific socialism. I don't think you can have any system of shaping society where you don't incorporate the history of how society got to the point where it was into the way you are building society, and a history that is unique to you and your people and where you are and your relationship to the world. So that's why I don't just believe in Marx's idea of socialism, or this person's idea of socialism. No, it is scientific socialism, because we have to take into the account the history of how societies got to the point that they were colonized and then collapsed. Right? So what were the factors that went into the colonization of a people? How were their people deprived of their agency in order to interact with other societies economically, so that they became economically exploited, and instead, you know what I mean? So yeah, I do believe in scientific socialism, and I don't believe And also for the easy, simple answer of, I don't believe in a one-size-fits-all solution for how you shape a society for anybody, that I don't. So yes, I do. I believe in scientific socialism. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Y'all been messing with me for 2 hours now. And I really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. I really love that you all decided to hang out with me for a little while this evening, and just hang out. Jedediah Ben Israel says, "What's my thought about the Bible being an African history book about a group of people?" The Bible is not a history book at all. Let's get that part clear. That's this idea that the Bible is a book that chronicles the history. The Bible is not a chronological history of anything. The Bible is a book of ideas about morality and the way that particular groups of people experienced oppression and adversity, and how they overcame those issues of oppression and adversity. And the key figures in that, the idea that the Bible is a book of history is just, and I understand that's where some people get this ridiculous idea that the earth is only 6,000 years old, except for that's not actually in the book. There's nothing in no. There are some places and events that have been confirmed by history, by archaeology, by the writings of actual historical figures. Yes, some of these people have been mentioned in the works of, say, Plutarch, or what's the other one's name? I can't remember the other Greek philosopher, I think, who mentions Pontius Pilate, and writes an historical account of the crucifixion, or at least the trial of Jesus Christ by Pontius Pilate, and the political intrigue so some people and places and events that are in the Bible have been confirmed by actual history, but the Bible itself is not an historical document. And it's not even entirely a good book the way it's the iteration that we have in this country. Once you realize that the canon that exists in the Protestant Bible is not anywhere near close to the number of books that actually exist in the Catholic Bible, and that's not even all the books that exist in the Ethiopian. But come on, it's not a and I don't want to dismiss people's beliefs, but I think if I start with the truth that the Bible is not a book of history, then I think the rest of that pretty much explains itself. Especially since this whole idea of the Bible being history is the basis for Zionism. Well, it's not actually the basis for Zionism. It's the convenient excuse that they use for Zionism. This idea that Palestine biblically belongs to those particular Jews. Nope. So there's my answer for that. All right. Let's see. Man, I don't know. I am not the person to be asking that question right now. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah, I know. Jorge Che Nieves. Do I know who you are? Jorge Che Nieves? please enlighten me if you're someone else that I should know. I will bring it up in our next meeting. Oh, y'all are fun. Y'all are great. Oh, whew. All right, let me scroll down to the bottom here. Oh, okay. Are the characters African is your main question. Some of them are, some of them are not. There you go. I think that's yeah. Jorge, your name is Che Nieves and you're an Attica brother. Of course, I've heard of Attica. You used to chat with Abdus. Oh my God. Thank you, brother. Thank you. That I cannot think of a more perfect way to end this show tonight. Thank you, Che, for chiming in and for invoking my other half, who is sadly no longer here in person, but he is here in spirit. And the reason Luqman Nation even exists is because of Abdushaheed Luqman. It was his baby. It was his idea. So I thank you, Jorge Che Nieves, for chiming in and for letting me know who you are. Thank you so much. I cannot think of a more perfect way to end a great night with you all. Tomorrow, folks, we get back to the serious business of ripping this empire to shreds. But tonight, I thank you so much for just hanging out with me and snoring Brewski back here and having a good time. You all take really, really good care of each other. Take really good care of yourselves. And we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, peace. And they are out here throwing up the peace sign like they want something. Yeah. I don't understand what they think they want.
I need to revise. I did see white people this happy. I gave the example of America and the Allies defeat over Nazi Germany. But I haven't seen as many white people happy. There was a couple periods in history. One was when Nutella was introduced. And I haven't seen that many white people happy since Nutella was introduced and marketed and stuff, because white people love Nutella.
They booked the surgery just to pull me out of the basement. Right back where I started, nothing to show for a facelift. Got pushed playing with the White and Davis, never felt so dangerous. The type of power they can't quantify. And name the best from our region, you gotta utter mine. Think of who really putting on, you never come to mind. Rapping like your Spotify tap, you rappers compromise. Yeah, no need to panic, just paint the canvas. If you can feel the static, you're too close, find your balance. Embed the revolution for their prohibition bandwidth. Blood trickle from the leaders he was planning. I had them all line before I dial up. How they came and they on top and I'm a mile up. I had them all line before I dial up. How they came and they on top and I'm a mile up. Boy, that flight to Amsterdam. When my accountant and minus my family found out too and didn't like it. You're not in this alone. But Dale said and I thought he was biased. Then I got a Venmo that said copy the finest. Before my foolishness settled in. Recorded a whole tape before we got to Berlin. This close to giving up and now never again. Don't overlook the work and come expecting to win. In the end, my word, never put nothing over the squad. Got it right up under their nose with your fighting facade. Off the cliff with broken wings, I'm aware of the odds. Enough faith for us all, I'm the one for the job. Most days, catching sun rays, baby, look like the front page. Overthinking what they might say, have it your way. Yeah, the biggest threat is something they never seen. Dial it up, patch me into the screen. Had them all line before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I had them online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up.